Hi, this is Olajide from CTF Security and welcome to another interesting video on the Hackthebox series. In today's video, we're going to demonstrate the dangers of insecure application configuration and environment manipulation. We will exploit a critical Laravel vulnerability that allows an attacker to manipulate application environment through query strings. We will then leverage this initial foothold to escalate privilege through a path hijacking vulnerability in a misconfigured sudo permission. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, welcome back to the channel. Now, the very first thing we're going to be doing is performing an Nmap scan so that we can see what we are dealing with. So we're going to grab the URL of the application and I'm going to just change directory to where we're going to be working from, which is going to be document/YouTube. So I already have a directory called environment. So from here, you can see that the directory is empty. So we're going to run the command nmap-sc for script scan sv. Then we're going to specify the domain, which is environment.htb. And we're just going to do away with the protocol. So we can also specify on to save the file, and we're going to call it environment_scan. And this should be able to give us the overview scan of the application, including testing some Nmap script against the application and displaying the version scans of different services that are running on the application. So while we wait for that, let's try to explore the application. So we don't really have much. I don't think we have any menu item here. All we have is this text right here and the about us here. And we have an email field here where we can enter and join. I don't think this is taking us anywhere. So let's just try it with a random email. So email added to the mailing list here. So let's use something we can actually identify. So I'm going to use r007 at, let's call it ctfsec.com. And I'm going to click on join. So I assume that has been added. Nope. Let's just refresh that. Fail to send requests. Could it be because it's a duplicate? 71. Okay, yeah. So now we have two email added to the mailing list, which is the r007 at ctfsec.com and the r071 at ctfsec.com. So let's check the progress of our scan, and you can see what we have here. We have just two ports open, which is the SSH service is open on port 22, and we also have the HTTP server running on port 80, which is exactly what we are dealing with here. So we might want to check what kind of technology we are dealing with here, and when we use Wapalizer to analyze that, we can see that we have the Laravel framework running on the application. We also have the engines X 1.22.1 PHP programming language. So that is what we have on the application. So now we know two things. We know that the application is using Laravel framework, and we also know that the application is running the PHP programming language. So what we can do is try to force this application for hidden directories, and to do that, we're going to clear the screen, and then we can use GoBuster. But before we use GoBuster, I can try to locate there buster, which is the list I'm going to be using for our fuzzing. I think I like using this one. So can I echo this and call it maybe word list and equals to this, not echo, rather that should be export. When I echo word list, what do we get? We just get word list. That is serious. What did I do wrongly? Oops. That's my error. I was supposed to echo the variable word list. Good. So that worked pretty well. So now when we use the Go Buster, then we can specify the dir for directory fuzzing. The user is going to be HTTP environment.htb, and then we're going to specify our word list to be word list, which is what we just created now. And you can see that it has taken this particular word list to be our word list variable. So we already discovered one page, which is the /login. So we can try to access that. So let's just add /login to the end. And we discover a login panel already. We have /upload, which is going to probably throw an error. Not found. Okay, so /upload is throwing an error. That is an indication that I think we have the debug enabled for this application, and it's telling us that the get method is not supported for route upload. And now we see that we have our PHP version revealed and our Laravel version revealed. So I'm going to just take this. Let's split this screen into top and bottom. And I'm going to clear this. So what we can do is we can open a Sublime and call it environment. And here I can just paste these versions here so that in case we need to revisit this. So the next thing I want to do is probably check if this particular Laravel 11.30.0 is vulnerable to any kind of vulnerability. And I'm going to just take that, and we're going to go to our Google search, and we're just going to paste this and add vulnerability at the back. Okay, so we have something from Cyber Security Help, and it says known vulnerability in Laravel framework 11.30.0. Let's check that out. Okay, so we have two specific kind of vulnerability related to this. One is improper input validation in Laravel framework, and the other is environment manipulation via query strings in Laravel. So this is what I'm going to be using. So let's just see if we can open this in a new tab. Do we have any specific description about this vulnerability? So it says the vulnerability allows a remote attacker to bypass implemented security restrictions. The vulnerability exists due to the application allows environment variable manipulation when the register argc and the argv PHP directive is set to on. A remote attacker can query any URL with a specific crafted query strings and alter values of the environment variable, which is very, very interesting. So what this is trying to say is, based on this vulnerability, we might be able to switch between the different environment variable on the application. So let's try to see if we can get a POC. First of all, let's grab the CV ID, and I'm going to use this as our search. So we're going to call this CVE 2024-52301 exploits. Let's just put something like that. Okay, so we have different options coming up, and we have this specific one from Martin Hoshmid. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so let me just open that and see what we can do with the information in there. Content. So it doesn't have much. It just says this repo contains a simple Docker compose file and some PHP info, running the thing, call localhost, the port, then we can add the --env, then access the development. So this is going to be our query, that is the parameter, and this is going to be the value we're supplying to, trying to switch the environment to development environment. So I guess this is some kind of POC. A bit of research around this. I have seen this vulnerability and wanted to find out how Laravel is vulnerable for this. I just drifted the 6.20.44 and traced how get parameter could end up changing application configurations. Let's see if we can test this against our application. So we already have the scan failing, so I'm just going to quit this for now, and let's see if we turn on the Bob suite. So I'm just going to launch the Bob suite so that we can use it to capture requests when we send it through the call request. So we're going to be using the same exploit which I just found, but we are going to proxy it through the Bob suite proxy. So that is why we need to turn on the Bob suite. I also need to switch this to Bob, which is on port 8080. Great. Good. Let's refresh, just to make sure that Bob is capturing our request. Intercept is off. We have the environment.htb. I'm going to add that to scope, and we're going to filter to only show in scope items. Good. So now if I clear the screen and I try to send, let's get that command again and we'll just modify it. I think something somewhere here. I'm going to grab this. Our URL is going to be this, so we're going to just modify this a bit. So let's add X to it so that we can proxy HTTP 127.0.0.1 port 8080 for Bob Suite. And then we can access the URL. So let's go get the normal URL. Let's go back a bit first. Good. So something I want you to notice about this application is we have the environment here set to production version 1.1, right? So now when we take this as our URL and we try to send this, so I'm guessing this is going to be index.php as well, slash, let's see if it's the same page. Yeah, of course it's the same page. So we can come here and add slash index.php, and we can just switch this to maybe local and run. Okay, I'm missing something there. Let's clear the screen. Let's bring that back and let's open the code here. We're going to send that. Okay, so let's see what we got. We can try to check it because the request is going to be proxy through Bob. So we got a 200 request, and you can see what we just sent over to the server. We can try to render it as well. So we got the same page, and you notice that the local change, the production has changed to local v1.1. So you keep wondering, okay, can we actually resend this? Development. Of course, we're going to have another request sent. So it changes the variable based on whatever we enter as our value to the parameter, to this env parameter we supplied here. So that is the idea here. Now, our exploit is not really malicious yet, so we have to look for a way we can actually use it to either bypass and switch our environment variable to something that can give us access to this box. So what we're going to do is we're going to move back to the /login we got earlier. /login. Good. So we can fill this form out, but before I do that, I'm going to make sure that our intercept is on. So I can try to fill it. Let's call it r0701@gmail.com, or let's use our domain, stfsec. Then the password is going to be, let's just call it r07. We can choose to click remember me, and we can click on sign in. Now we have our request captured on the Bob Suite. So what we can try to do is maybe try to change this request to, so this is a post request. So let's try to change it to get request and try to see what kind of error we're going to get. I'm going to forward this, forward it, and let's see, do we get any error message? Of course, none. Okay, cool. All right, so let's just refresh the page. I'm going to drop this intercept first, and let's go to Bob Suite. Let's go to the HTTP history. So initially, to reload the page, we're using get request. So I'm going to forward this to repeater, and we're going to switch this to posts and see how the application is going to handle this. Of course, it says it's expired, so nothing is really happening here. All right, good. So let's go back and let's turn on the intercept, and let's fill that form one more time. R007 as the password, and let's capture that. So what if we change a parameter? So for example here, this, remember, is either true or false. So what if we change it to something like none, or let me just put R007 there as well, something that is neither true or false, and let's try to forward the request. Okay, so we got an error, and this error says undefined variable, keep logging. So that is what we are trying to break there. And when you scroll down, we try to locate the environment here. So it says if app environment is equals to preprod, then this particular section of the code is going to get executed, and then I think it's going to try to get regenerate and set your user ID to 1, and it's going to also redirect you to management/dashboard. So if we're able to switch our environment variable to preprod, we should be able to log into this application and redirect it to /management/dashboard. So we're going to just grab that, and I'm going to just paste that in here. So let's go back into our application. So this time around, we're going to be capturing the request again. Let's send it. So we're going to leave this to be true right now, and we're just going to locate the post requests here, and we're going to just be making some modification to the post request. So what we're going to be adding to it is the same vulnerability we discovered earlier, which is going to be --env equals to then the environment variable. Let's add that, and let's forward the request. So first, we can just forward it. You can see it's redirecting us to management/dashboard. Just going to forward the other request, and you can see that we are now logged into the management/dashboard. You can as well scroll, and you can see the initial emails that we supplied in the home page, which added to our mailing list. You can see both of them here, which is the r07@ctfsec.com and r071@ctfsec.com. So we're currently logged in as ish, and you can as well, let me just forward this and turn off the intercept so that we don't get distracted. You can go to your profile, and we have a section to upload a profile picture, and I can first of all try to see, can I upload a PHP script? Of course, I know it won't allow me to do that. Not sure if I have any .php. script. Not really. We have some in the Hackthebox directory. Okay, so I have one PHP reverse shell. So I'm just going to try to upload and see what the application says. So you can see it says invalid file detected. So we can't really upload any type of file. So there's some filtering going on here. So what we can try to do is try to bypass this filter. And the simple way I did that was to, let's clear the screen and let's create our own bypass. So first of all, let's get magic bytes of GIF image. This is what I'm looking for. Yeah, something like this. It's 9. That's not been specific. Yeah, so I think this is correct. So we have GIF 89A. That should be the magic byte for GIF image. So I'm going to do echo, and we can rename this to profile. Let's just call it profile dot gif dot php. So I'm just putting the dot at the ending so that we can use it to bypass the restrictions on the application. So this is going to be the name of our file, and when you do ls, was our file created? Oh, I just did echo, so it's supposed to be Sublime. Great. So we're going to paste our GIF magic number inside the Sublime text file which we just created, and then we're going to insert our reverse shell in there. So we're going to look for PHP. Let's just go to rev shell. Okay, we're looking for bash I greater and the IP. So our IP is 10.10.14.93 currently. So I'm going to switch this to 93. We're going to use port 444, which is correct. So I'm going to grab this and insert it here. And that is not all. We also need to specify PHP, or let's just, sorry about that, PHP system, and then we can execute bin/bash to execute this command here. So this one is going to be in quote. So we're going to also need to close this one. First one. Then close the bracket, which is this bracket here. And then we can terminate and close our PHP script. So this should work. I'm going to save. So practically what we're trying to do is we're trying to use the bin bash to execute this particular command, which is a reverse shell command, to give us reverse shell connection to our local IP on port 444. So having done that, we're going to clear the screen and we're going to open our connection on port 444, which is what we just opened. I'm going to save and we're going to try to upload this. So let's upload. Let's go to YouTube, environment. This is the new script. And then we're going to click on upload. No connection yet. Let's be sure we are still on this page. Okay, so we got locked out. So we need to do that again. So let's do anything, just random login. Oh, sorry, I wasn't capturing. So we're going to do this, any login credential, sign in, and we're going to manipulate this. Preprod, I think if I get that correctly. And I'm going to forward. Great. Good. So let's turn off the intercepts. Let's go to the profile. And then we're going to upload our reverse shell and click on upload. So I think that uploaded successfully. We do not really gain a shell. It just closes out. So I'm thinking there's an issue with our commands. So let's look at that again. Oops, my bad. Let's save that. And we try to upload again. So we already have a file with the same name. Okay, so we can do move profile to shell.give.php this. So I think that should help us pass through the restrictions. So now we have to go to YouTube, environments, and change the file, and then we can upload. Oops, I forgot to start my listener. Let's try to see, can we trigger this image, open load image? Can we do that? Don't think so. Copy image address, and we open it on a new tab. Okay, good. I think that worked. So we gain a reverse shell, and I can try who am I. We are data. We can as well try to do at /etc/password, and we see there is a user called Ish with ID 1000. Can we view /home/ Ish? Of course, we have access to Ish folder, so we can do cd/home/Ish. Great. So we can cut the user.txt, and we can also see what kind of file do we have here. When I go to cd backup, we have a keyvault.gpg file, which looks like a form of encrypted data. So I can do file keyvault.gpg, and you can see it. This is PGP RSA encrypted session key. This is the key ID, and we have the RSA encrypt or sign with 2048 bits. So what we can try to do is to decrypt this, but we need the entire private key that was used to encrypt this data. And where we can find that is when we go back to the H directory and we do ls to view every files in this directory. So you can see that we have the GNUPG folder here. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to download this keyvault.gpg file to our local machine. We'll also download the entire .gpnupg directory so that we can use that to crack this particular key vault encryption. So having said that, what we're going to do is first let's go and download. So I'm going to go to backup, download the other file first. Let me start up another terminal which we're going to use to download. So let's go to cd document, cd YouTube, cd environment. So I want it to be here. Good. Let's rather. So we know that both of them are files right now. So we can try to create a Python HTTP server. .server on port 8001, if I'm correct. Then we can just add and so that we'll still be able to use the terminal. Good. It says Python command is not found, which is strange. Python is not found. Okay. Let's do something else. If Python is not found, can we run which Python? Okay, which Python 3? Okay, so we have Python 3. So all we have to do is to just do Python 3 -m http.server port 8001. And we can use the and. Great. So we need to download this. We're going to just use wget to download from http environment.htb on port 8001. The file name is keyvault. That has been downloaded here. So the second file we need to download is the one in the H directory. So since this is a folder, we need to download this recursively to make sure that every file in the directory is being downloaded. So to do that, we need to switch backward. Okay, we're already here, so we can just bring back the Python, or let's just see. No, we can't. Python 3 -m http.server, and let's put this on 8002 with the and. Okay, cool. Now we need to download. So I'm going to change this to 2. And what we're downloading is the entire .gpgn upg directory, and we need to specify some parameter to our get. We need to specify the recursive, and let's add the no host, and let's cut the directory name out. Cut -dir equals to 1. So we're just trying to trim the way the file is being downloaded. So I think that's pretty much what we need, and we can start downloading. Good. So I think everything has been downloaded. Let's okay. So what I'm just going to do is we have the main file here. So I need all this data to be in just one region. So can I make dir and call it h_g_enupg? I'm correct. Then can I move let's just do this manually to make it a bit more faster. So let's go to YouTube environment, and this no, not this I think, and this one, I don't remember creating this one. I'll move it to the new directory. So now we have our ish directory and we have our key vault. So I think to work better this way. So let's see. Good. Okay, we still have some hidden files, so we can manually move up. What's this file here? Sorry about that. Let's okay, good. So what we can try to do now is use the gpg-home dir. So we want to specify the home directory for the gpnug file. So gnupg, I beg your pardon, and it's going to be /h_gpgnupg, and then we're going to list all the keys. Okay, good. This is a valid one. We can as well try to list secret key as well. So same thing, we're just going to change this to secret keys as well, so still valid. Now the next thing we're going to do is to export this private key and import it to our default key ring. And to do that, we're going to use the GPG, which is still the same similar command. We're going to specify the _GNUPG, and we're going to use --export secret keys -a, that is to export everything, and we're going to call it private _key.asc. Okay, so let's confirm we have that. Okay, great. So we have our private key now. And the next thing we want to do is to import this key. So we can use GPG-import private. Okay, so I think we successfully imported that. Now we can use this to decrypt the key vault file which we have, and you can see that this has decrypted the file, and what we have is some credential to paypal.com, environment.htb, and facebook.com. So of course we're going to be working with the one for environment.htb. So I'll just quickly try to add that here. So since we have a credential now, we can try to SSH with this credential. Here we are in, and who am I? We are ish, and can ish run sudo -l yes, ish can run sudo command based on some certain condition. That is, it can only run for /user/bin/system info, and we also have some environment_sets here, which is specifically keeping the env bash environment variable. So what we can try to do is to first of all see, can we use path hijacking to actually work on this file to gain privilege escalation. First, I need to see what that file entails. So let's do cat system info, and you can see that this script is using a lot of binaries there. For example, it's using dmessage, it's using tail, sss, entlp, mount, column, unlimit, a lot of other command, and it is not absolutely specifying the full parts of each of these commands it's using. So we might probably see if we can do path hijacking. Then if that didn't work, then we try to see if we can exploit the environment bash _environment. So let's try to see how we can do that. We can do echo. Let's try to exploit the tail, for example. We can create a new tail binary, and we just call it /bin, first of all bash, what is going to be inside, -p to execute with elevated privilege, and then we can redirect it into a file called, this is so slow, emp/tail. Good. So now when we do ls/tmp/tail, good. So now we can do change mode to give it a high privilege, which is executable privilege. Specify the name and tail. So let's check our permission once again. Good. So you can see it in green, meaning we now have execution privilege. So the next thing we are going to do is to export the path to be equals to, first of all, we can do echo path here. Then we can decide to change our path now. So this is the current path we have, so we can do echo path to be not echo export, sorry about that. To be equals to the new file we just created, which is temp/tail. If you now take this command and run sudo does it give us elevated privilege? Nope. What does it mean by sudo command not found? Okay. Let's try something different. Probably it's because we've actually switched we've exported the path. What we can try to do is, can we use I guess it couldn't find the sudo path. Good. So it executed, but it didn't really give us a privilege. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the path back to what it was. So let's export paths back to what we have here. So let's echo path again. Good. So the next thing we're trying to do is to try an alternative way. And what this is trying to say is, since the sudo configuration was misconfigured to keep the bash env, which is what I showed you earlier when I ran the sudo -l, I guess. Where is it? So it was meant to keep the bash env. Since the sudo configuration was meant to keep the bash_env, which is a variable that tells the bash which file to run before executing any command, what we can try to do is create a .bashrc file that gives us a shell, and then we're going to set the bash_env to point to our own malicious file we just created. And let's see how that is going to give us access. So we can try to do echo create a bash with a privilege, and then we can just put it in a temp directory just like we did earlier, /.bashrc. So this is going to be the name of the file. We can try to view the temp to make sure that the file was created. Sorry, I was supposed to add, since it's a hidden file. So you can see this is the file we just created, and we're going to export now the bash_env variable, and we're going to point it to the file we just created. Now when we do sudo system info, we should be able to gain the root shell. So you can see it. Who am I? We are root. We can go to cd/root to cut the root.txt. Good. We can also see what is inside the script. So these are just cleanup scripts. So I guess this was the script that was deleting the payload we uploaded earlier. So guys, that is all for this video. If you've learned one or two things from this video, please kindly like, subscribe and share, and I will see you in the next video.